What's up everybody, welcome back to Mikwit Crafts, and today I decided I wanted to get my first crack at making a battle map for my D&D game. So I started with some standard 2x2 insulation squares and cut one in half so that I could glue the whole thing back together into a 3x2 flipboard. Next, I glued on smaller cuts of foam to give the landscape a few levels for the players and baddies to work off of. Once the layers were all secured, I coated the whole thing in a layer of gesso. This helps give the foam a coarse texture while also protecting it from the spray paint that I ended up using for the primer coat. Once the primer was dry, I gave the whole thing a light coating of snow white paint. The goal is to make a kind of tundra landscape rather than like a blizzard or arctic circle kind of thing. So a thin coat helps give the whole look of snow while also remaining dark enough to pass as stone in the darker areas. The painting done, it was time to add our nature textures. I added some rocks at the base of each new level. The area that I'm building is meant to be a bit of a canyon with a now frozen river running through it, so you want to be able to show some erosion in there. Next, I covered the whole thing section by section in a light dusting of snow powder before I mixed up my snow globs. For my globs of snow accumulation, I mixed the snow powder together with some Mod Podge and then laid out bits of snow with a popsicle stick. This helps make it look like there's been some snow accumulation on the ground, and it's also a really good way to hide the seams where the trees were pressed into the foam. Finally, it was time to do our frozen river. I used some safety glass to block off the sides of my river, and then I used UV resin along the seam in the riverbed to make sure there were no nasty leaks that would come back to bite me. I mixed up the resin with a bit of white pigment to try and achieve an icy look, though I probably should have used a little bit more pigment as this really didn't turn out as I thought it would and wasn't really as opaque as I was hoping for, but it still worked out. Because I didn't again want the nightmare of an overnight resin leak going all over my carpet, I decided to do this resin pour on my bathroom floor so I could scrape it up if necessary. After 3 days of curing though, luckily there were no leaks, and it was, well, no, it's not time for glamour shots. Time for action shots. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future builds. I've got a few different battle map ideas I'm working on, as well as a couple of requests I've received, so we'll see which thing I can get to and finish first. But until next time, thanks again for watching, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next one.